What's going on, Shopbox Universe? How's everybody doing out there? I hope you've been enjoying this channel. And in this video, I'm going to answer a particular question that came in this past week here, and that is, how do I give employee feedback in a positive way? This really hit home, and you're going to find out what I said in this video. Check it out. What's going on, everybody? I'm Peter Karunas with Shopbox, and we're going to be talking about employee feedback in this video. When this question came in and how to give this particular employee constructive criticism, I'm like, well, that's easy. That's an easy one out there. But actually, I got to thinking about it, and you know what? It's often not easy to have that one-on-one conversation with an employee about their efforts, about their ability to do the job and perform well. And I often remember this conversation can go one of two ways typically. It can go very positively, and it can also be taken very negatively if not done correctly. So I wanted to do this video and highlight the importance of employee feedback. All right, so for the sake of this video, let's assume that you're one of the shops that like to do one-on-one meetings. And if you don't like to do one-on-one meetings and you like to do two-on-one meetings, that's okay too. Just make sure that when you're doing your two-on-ones, that your employee feels relaxed and he doesn't feel pressured or nervous because he's feeling like he's ganged up on. So when I go into an employee meeting, one-on-one or two-on-one, I typically like to start by asking some questions that are not work related. You know, how's everything going at home? How's everything going? What you've been up to? How are some of your personal hobbies working out for you? You know, try and have that one-on-one relationship that goes beyond employer-employee. This typically will break the ice. And now that we've broken that ice, let's get into the conversation at hand. And I've always believed that it's best to start with the positives. You're starting with the positives because, again, you're setting the tone for how you want this meeting to go. What is your goal? When you go into this meeting, you want to establish a goal. If your objective is to give constructive criticism, start with the positive. Start with they're doing right before you get into what you want them to change. And we're going to talk about change in a second. And secondly, after you start with those positives, make sure that you understand and you recognize their efforts. So let's talk about the importance of employee feedback. Why is it important for you to give your employee any feedback? Well, first of all, without feedback, nobody knows if they're doing a good or a bad job. So it's important that even if it's a small little bit of feedback, that you're showing the employee that you're paying attention, that they're being recognized, good, bad, or indifferent, and that you're going to offer that in particular feedback to that employee for reasons that you want to steer them in the right direction. Feedback is also important because it also allows an open door policy. Typically, if you're having a great relationship with your employees, you can offer feedback, but guess what? They can offer feedback to you, which is also awesome if you have that relationship with your employees. Having that open door, that open line of communication with your employees to also help you improve as an employer is key. Okay, so you're in your one-on-one meetings or your two-on-one meetings and you've already started with the positives and you broke the ice there. Now it's time to get into what you actually want out of this meeting. So typically, when we're giving feedback, we want something changed or we want something looked at, or we as employers want to implement change incrementally. And that's a key word there, incrementally, because asking someone to change black to white often is very difficult because you're trying very difficult to break habits. Breaking someone's habits are very difficult. And I'll compare it to smoking. There are a lot of smokers out there that are working for us. And if they're looking to quit smoking, the best advice that you can give them is to make incremental change. Making incremental change over time amounts to the change that you're looking for over a period of time. The goal is to quit smoking. So how do you do that? Not by necessarily cutting back, right away, but smoking 1 less cigarette a day. Smoking 1 less cigarette a day will lead to 5 less cigarettes being smoking at work, or 6 if you're working a 6-day work week. Making incremental change to eventually not smoking a pack of cigarettes. Same thing if you want to quit drinking coffee. Maybe not necessarily starting with 1 less cup a day, but 1 less sip of the cup per day. Make incremental change with your employees. So if you're asking them to change something about the way that they're working, make a plan for yourself that in 30, 60, 90 days, this is what I want them to change, and I want them to work towards that change so that it no longer becomes a habit. When you're in these meetings and you're offering constructive criticism, it's also very, very crucial. It's crucial. It's super important not to inundate them with all the negatives at once. They'll go on negative overload. And that's not a good thing for either of you. It often leads to an employee quitting, or it often leads to an employer firing that employee because it's not happening fast enough. So if you keep the constructive criticism to a minimum and you make these one-on-one meetings about 1 or 2 changes here and there, over time, if you're having these meetings quite frequently, you have something that you can go back to and check on the progress of. So when you're in these meetings and you're talking to them one-on-one and you're having that hard, challenging conversation, what are those types of feedback that you're going to give? What is that criticism that you want to give them? Maybe they're arriving late to work every morning. Maybe they're taking too many smoke breaks, coffee breaks, bathroom breaks. Maybe they're just a slow employee that makes products very slowly. There are a lot of reasons why we as sign shop owners, we as print shop owners are often talking to our employees about being better. And when you're having these meetings, I think it's very important to start with the positives, keep the constructive criticism to a minimum, and also have a plan for yourself for what you want to get out of this meeting. What do you just want to say the words and let them be heard? Or do you want to help guide them towards that change and help make sure that they stay the course towards changing the way you want your shop run? You know, if you want them to arrive early, what are those necessary steps that you're going to do as an employer to help them understand the importance of arriving early and making sure that they do? Often enough, as sign shop owners, as print shop owners, we have a lot that we are looking at through many different lenses on what we can talk to our employees about. It could be customer service, it could be sales strategy, it could be a pitch, it could be how long you take on graphic designing, it could be not using the printing equipment correctly, it could be a number of things, and I can go on and on and on. The key is to start with the positives, understand where they need to be, and how you're going to help them get there. So I hope that that advice really strikes home with you guys, because a happy employee and a happy employee-employer relationship will go leaps and bounds for you in the future, sometimes in the immediate future. Because if an employee walks into this meeting thinking, oh my God, I'm timid and I'm scared of losing my job because I never have these conversations one-on-one with the employer, well, you're already putting yourself in a position where this conversation is going to be very difficult to have. And you don't want that in your culture at all, because it can lead to employee turnover, and potentially that employee could be a very good employee for you and you don't want to lose them. All right, everybody, I'm Peter Karunas with Shopbox. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you learned a little something from this video, because I know that I did. Who would have thought giving employee feedback would be so difficult sometimes? So if you're having a difficult conversation, or if you're about to have a difficult conversation with an employee, leave some comments below. Maybe I can help you, give you some advice on how to handle it and how to tackle those issues. I look forward to hearing from you all. Don't forget to keep those emails coming, peterk@shopbox.com. I look forward to hearing from you guys out there in 2021. And like always, everybody, stay positive out there.